Hey, everybody, and welcome to Beyond the Booth. I'm Howard Shaney with, of course, the two guys that's always on here. QB1 up above me. Over here to my right is QSB Phil Harris. And, of course, our special guest tonight is Coach Heather Powell of the Fort Payne Middle School basketball team, the Fort Payne High School volleyball team. Coach Powell, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, how are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for taking the time out. I know you had a busy day today. How did the track meet go actually today?
Well, it went pretty well. Actually, we've still got some rockets down there. So my daughter's a thrower, and then I've got another volleyball player that's a thrower. Cooper Garrett. She's a really great volleyball player. Signed a volleyball scholarship, and but she was also a state champion in jab last year, and she went in the other two throwing events. So Cooper and then Hadley got second and third today, I think, in the shot. So it was a good day.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, guys, she was down in Birmingham today cheering on her daughter, and sounded like she did a great job cheering her on by getting second and third place.
Well, I mean,
And
I,
and, and it's you said it was indoor, right?
yes, it's indoor. It's at the Crossplex down there. They have indoor meet for the state. So
Awesome, good deal. You got the three kids, and one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is, how much and have you talked to your kids about back in the day when you played, and have you showed them the championship rings and everything?
uh, I don't talk about it a whole lot. I mean, there are times that I do, or I'll tell them, just stories about teammates, or when somebody comes up to me and talks. Coach Cochran actually, he came to watch one of his good friends had a son that was playing last year, and it was on one of the middle school teams, and then on a middle school team. So he came and watched. That was kind of neat to get to share that experience with him, and him watching my son play and those kind of things. So that's pretty neat. So then we talk about it a little bit. Of course, the kids said, "Well, he didn't seem so mean," and I thought, let me break out. Let him say, get on the line. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to believe that. It's hard to make some people believe how coaches really were back in the day because they're not really the same today as they were back then.
Right, right. A little bit different, I think, you just adapt. You adapt and you go, depending on what you need to do, we say, kids really haven't changed in a way. I mean, you get out there, you ask them to really sacrifice, their time to get out there and play and give it everything they've got, and maybe that may be old school too. I don't know. I've been called that a few times, but it's still a joy, to get out there and be able to coach and then to see my kids coming up now, in the ranks and that kind of thing. That's something kind of special.
Yeah, something that came across my mind today that I wanted to ask you is you played basketball in high school and college, you played volleyball, you played softball, you played all the sports. You've been coaching for quite a while now. Uh, is there a particular time or something that comes to your mind every once in a while and it's like it just makes you bust out laughing thinking about what happened at that time?
You have the stories, some that you might not want to tell live on the air. Uh, but you always have those stories. I think one of the biggest things for me is just I always tell people, they're like, why did you choose to do this, or have you been fulfilled, in your career, that kind of thing with what you've done, and one of the things that I say, like the biggest, I don't want to say problem, but the thing that has brought me the most joy out of coaching is just the relationships, and I think it was Jimmy Buffett, which I'm a big parrot head too, so tell off on myself a little. I blame it on my dad for that one, but uh, I think he said in one of his songs, it was like, if we could sit up on the bed and hear the stories we could tell, that's the thing. It's the stories you could tell and the relationships, have meant so much over the years as a player, as a coach, even as a mom, just funny little antics or this or that, and um, getting to share that with my dad. We would always joke about one kid one day at practice, would do this or that, and uh, just come out crazy stuff, like I said, sometimes I wanna say it on here, but, uh, and it would just take one look or one laugh, or we would say, "Do you remember when," and I would say the kid's first name, and everybody's gonna die laughing. I told my kids I'm gonna put it in a book one day, maybe, I don't know, but, I tell them those stories and, because they've been there through it. Kids were managers with me, they've been in the gym all their lives, and, you know, they get to see some of that, and they get to have all these big sisters around them all the time, and it's such a wonderful feeling of family, and letting them see it growing up, like what is it like, and sometimes they got to be in there in the locker room after the last loss of the season, and that's a tough one. But when you can share those funny stories with them and share, the triumphs and the awesome wins, those are the things that they're going to hold on to, and those kids were really treating them like they were family.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got two more quick things, and I've got to jump off here. And one of them is I ran into you at the store and asked you about doing this again, and you you said yes with a big smile on your face, but I could tell you maybe you really didn't want to. But we appreciate you being on here. So I'm hoping the next time I see you at the store, you're not peeking around the corner trying to hide from me
Yeah.
because of that.
Where's the big cutout? Let me get behind the cardboard. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, but we talked about you going back and coaching volleyball this past year, uh, and you kind of lit up a little bit because that is also one of your loves. I feel like in the past, as far as the sports wise. Tell us a little bit about that and how much you've enjoyed the coaching of the volleyball.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was very unexpected. It's not often that you get that chance. To head of a program, and we really didn't go initially after it. That wasn't what I was doing, and I was helping Coach Sparks there, with the varsity at Fort Payne, and my kids. We moved the kids to Fort Payne, and they've done great. Everyone was so welcoming and very nice to us, and I was there. Loved working with the girls last year in basketball. All set to do that again, and then Coach Kaiser and his wife, the other Coach Kaiser, they did a great job with the volleyball program. My daughter was in it already. She loved them, and I can't say enough good about them. But they got a different position, went to Spain Park, and the position was vacant for a while. I'd gotten to know the girls a little bit and some of the parents, and I had a parents come to me and just say, who do you think it's going to be? Would you be interested in it, or this or that? And I said, well, I love volleyball, but is that something that you guys would be interested in? Like, me doing that, and I didn't really know how it would work, as far as doing both or whatnot. So, it kind of worked out. I went and talked to Mr. Timmons, the principal, and Mr. Jett, the board. Everybody was on board with it, and away we went. A little bit late in the game. It was late May. It was the last week of school, so we had a lot to do in a hurry. Um, got to hire Morgan McKenzie, which you mentioned, Jamie Vest a minute ago. So that's her daughter, and so we kind of got a diamond out there that nobody had snatched up. She had just finished, and she hadn't done a lot of volleyball up until this. But man, is she amazing! I knew she was an amazing person. I love her family. I've known them forever, and um, we're just really, really fortunate and lucky, just blessed to have her with us. And she was our JV coach this year, and we went at it. Um, coaching up, Morgan a little, but not a lot because she was just online, and we were going to different things that clinics and different stuff like that, and kind of getting back in the groove of volleyball. And we had some great players that were coming back, um, and some really good young players too. We're excited about the program. I think we just started our youth developmental league practices, and they'll play in February. We've got 4 Saturdays, and I think second through sixth grade, we have roughly maybe like 140 kids signed up. Yeah, so
Gosh.
excitement is great. It is awesome to see those kids in the gym, and our kids come in and work with them, and teach them, coach them, and that helps. We always try to give back. We want our kids to know, like, you've been poured into. We want you to pour back. Into the younger kids, and before you go away, especially like seniors and stuff like that, give you the opportunity one more time. To be the hero to a bunch of little ones, and teach them some of the valuable lessons, and what it means to be part of that 14 volleyball family. And again, I'm just I feel very fortunate to be a part of it.
Heather, it's great seeing you again. I appreciate you coming on the show. I've got to step away, but Randy's going to come in, and I'll turn it over to them too. And you're in great hands with them too. And if we can ever do anything for you and the volleyball team or whatever, just let us know, and we'll help you out any way possible.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and it's good seeing you. And I will talk to you later.
Thank you.
Mr. Phil, why
Uh,
don't you get with some questions?
okay, I can do that. Well, of course, welcome to the show, Heather. It's good to see you. Speaking of Morgan, of course, she's got a kind of a head start in basketball, even though she's just kind of getting started, as an assistant coach. But she grew up around basketball. Her mother was a great player, and she was around when her mother played. And then also she spent some time under Jamie Pruitt at Ider, so she's got off to a fast start, and that's had to help her in the early part of her coaching career.
Well, absolutely. And she had a brief stint there too. She played at Gadsden State, and then she was an assistant. I think they maybe for a year or so. Also, so she's kind of seen it at every level at this point. And I think that really helps. It brings a whole other aspect, or dimension to her coaching, and the kids can see that, and she can say, at the college level, this is what a college coach is going to look for, or this is the work that you can expect to put in, or that kind of thing. So I think it's really she's just been a tremendous attribute to our programs, both basketball and volleyball.
Well, Coach, I want to talk to you a little bit, of course, about your family now, and your Cy, your son. You spoke about your daughter, your son, Cy. I know he plays some on the JV, has played some on varsity, but I understand he's doing pretty well on the basketball court right now.
Well, we don't want his head to get too big.
Yeah.
Mom is the coach. Sometimes that gets you in trouble, but thank you for saying so. I appreciate it. He loves it, and that was one thing about when we knew we were leaving Fife. It was kind of like, okay, about where we needed to be as a family. Where my kids could thrive. Somewhere that would be good for them. And I really just asked God to take me out of the equation initially, and I was like, I don't really care what I do as long as I can have a job at the school somewhere. I'm not a very good, handyman, but I'll do that. Whatever it is that would help my kids, be where they need to be, and it was really just amazing. The next few steps that happened, and it was so quick, and Fort Payne just open arms, and really, just awesome to our kids, helping us, trying to get them enrolled in different things like that. Of course, I got a job up there, and was helping with basketball. I did a little bit of just, which I don't know a lot about track and throwing. My daughter got into it, so of course, I'm the mom, like trying to watch the YouTube videos and figure out what's going on, and how to help, I guess, or whatever at home. But I did end up, helping judge and do some things like that with track last year. So I mean, they've just been amazing. I know as an outsider, I didn't grow up at Fort Payne, but the way that they've treated us, you wouldn't be able to tell, because they've just been really, it's a warm welcome for us. And like you said, my boys coming up, they both love basketball, and we had, the Peaks. Jake Peak was hired. Coach Peak was hired up there too, and his two boys came, and Coach Coker's got a son that's about my youngest child's age. So they're on the court all the time together. So we kind of have to move them out of the way sometimes. They think they their goal over here, or whatever. But they've just just made fast friends in a hurry. And the boys were both very excited about the boys program. Coach Coker heading that up. I, in particular, grew up, with Coach Coker in the gym too. Plainview with me, or we were together there, and once I was young, and so just a lot of respect for him and what he was going to be able to do with the program, So it's a tribute to those coaches and you know what they believe in, the hard work that they put in, and Cy has reaped the benefits of some of that.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of great folks at Fort Payne, and like you was talking about, a lot of times they promote within, a lot of times in a lot of positions at Fort Payne. So you've had to have, been a few years and made a few impressions. Well, I want to ask you this, Heather. You coached, of course, you was the head coach at Plainview for the girls, and then you was coach went back to 5. Okay, now, of course, you've also coached at Gunnersville and now at Fort Payne. And we had Blaine Smith on last week, and he kind of we asked him about what the difference was between coaching at small school level and then more at the big school level. Of course, athletes has a lot to do with that, but he said one major thing is, he said, when you coach like in the county, you're on top of each other. I mean, your next door neighbors, to all your rivals right on top of you. But when you get up to the 4, 5, and 6A level, everything's kind of spread out. So you can mainly kind of sort of concentrate on your community, and it's, because Fort Payne's going to be a bigger area and your rivals are going to be Scottsboro and Gaston City and people like that rather than your next door neighbor.
Make a difference. Of course, Fort Payne and Scottsboro. I think that goes back, past me. Even that's just a huge rivalry always, and I guess it's a Wildcat thing. It's like the top cat. Once we play them, it's like who's the top cat kind of thing. And so that's a healthy rivalry that's been there, and they played over the years. Both having some really great teams. Coach Sparks has been there forever with basketball. And has done a great job with it. And we celebrated. Was it 500 wins for him last year? It was in the hundreds for sure. And so anytime you get some teams like that just down the road from each other, and with social media and things that our kids are, than the physical distance, they're all on the social media there and stuff, and so a bit, I guess, and that kind of thing, and know each other like that. That does make a little bit closer. We're like the teams we play, even our area. It's South Side and it's Gadsden City. That's it. That's a pretty good little trek down the road. It's not like a Fife to Geraldine kind of a trip, but I think just the traditional programs and that those teams have had, success. I think you have a big fan base there anyway, and I think it's just one of those things you kind of expect. Like, okay, we're going to city.
Yeah, of course, there's a lot of interest in Fort Payne athletics right now. Well, Heather, I want to talk to you. You had mentioned Coach Mike Cochran, and I remember back in the days when he coached, he used to tell me when we would talk, he said that that when it was basketball practice time, he goes, those kids are mine. He goes, I let the parents know. And he said, and they're good about, they're mine when I get them in the gym. Now, outside the gym, I don't police them, they are on their own. He said, but I expect them to behave, like they should. But, and like you was talking about, he was a tough, hard-nosed basketball coach.
I think we may have lost Heather. She may have to log back in. Heather, are you there?
She's cutting out.
Yeah, you may have to log back in and log out real fast if you can hear me. There's a lot of interference, folks. Just I'm in Chattanooga, and then they're in Alabama. And right now, there's a lot of, I can see, I have a monitor here. There's just a lot of interference in between the two networks. Might be a storm in between us or something. Let me see if I can get Coach back in real fast. Phil, Coach Powell. Yeah, she's gonna have to log back in. Coach Powell was, I said today, was probably the best player that I ever saw at the high school level. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, yeah, and I was going to ask her about this. Of course, I don't want to, she's not going to pat herself on the back, but the big thing with her, and I think she's one of those players. She was an outstanding player and probably could have averaged a lot more points per game. But what really made her special was she made everybody around her better, and I think that's what sets her apart from maybe others. She was never selfish, and I think Coach Cochran at times wanted her to be selfish, but that just wasn't in her nature. She was an ultimate team player, and anytime you can make your teammates better, it makes you that special player. Michael Jordan type. Jamie Vest is also one that's kind of sort of played that way. Brent Tinker's another one that I watched over the years that had that kind of quality. She just makes everything around her better, people around her better, players around her better. She just has that. Some of that's upbringing, and but also I think it's something you're just blessed with.
Here she goes. I got a few questions about that too.
Yeah.
Steve, we have Coach Powell back. I was telling everybody, I'm in Chattanooga, and y'all are in Alabama. Something in between us, and it happens every now and then. I'm getting all kind of interference coming out of Alabama on the internet. So I've gotten you stable again. If somehow you drop again, just log back in.
Okay.
You have the best single you've had all night. So I apologize, but and I'm not the high tech redneck I used to be. So I'm struggling to make this work. But go ahead, Phil, and I'll monitor this, and I'll give you a little warning if I see you're going to drop either side. Phil, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Well, Heather, we was kind of sort of talking when you went off that, Randy made the comment that you were probably the best, high school girls basketball player he ever has seen. And I said, well, she's not going to like you patting her on the back. I said, but I will say this, I got to see you back, when you were playing. And I remember one of the first broadcast games I did. I don't know what year it was, 92 or 93. You were young at that time. Yeah. But y'all played Lauderdale County at home in the first round of the playoffs, and they beat y'all. I think it was 65-62, if I remember right. Y'all missed a shot at the end of the game. But, that team that night, I think, grew up. And from that point forward, that program really went to a higher level after that.
I think so. That's something that, especially if you're the one that missed the shot. That was me. I missed it. It was about 3/4 court, I guess, shot. It was a long one, but I thought it was going in, and was hoping, I guess, as it left my hands. But, anytime something like that happens, we had won the year before. In my 8th grade year, I missed the shot at the top of the key, and we lost in the state finals. But, I guess coming back in that was my 10th grade year. And, once you go through that, Lauderdale County, of course, had a storied program. Coach Senyard had been there forever and had done an amazing job, building that program. And they were really, they were the real deal. It was no joke for sure. And I remember it was the greatest atmosphere ever. It was like, too deep, on the baseline, and the stands were full, and it was the old gym at Fife, so not as much room anyway. So it was wonderful. It was a great place to play, and that'll bring a smile to my face, even though, it wasn't the way that I wanted it to end. But yeah, anytime you're in a game like that, and it you've raised your level of play, to be in that game with such a great team, and you don't get it, that sends a different message. It's like, all right, it's time to go to work. Like,
Mhm.
now we're going to be ready the next time. That's not going to happen again, and that's kind of what it did, and that's what you want, as a coach or even as a parent, you want that to be the triggered response, from something, like that. You take inventory, and let it drive you. You don't let it push you down. You don't let it stop you. You use it. You use it for fuel, and that's I think it's kind of what we did.
Hey,
Yeah,
Phil.
y'all played very well that night. I mean, that was one of those games where Lauderdale County was very good, but y'all just kept hanging in there, and just to have an opportunity to tie it or win at the end was amazing that night, because y'all really did raise your level of play. Because early in the ball game, I was afraid it wasn't going to go well, but next thing you know, y'all just kept hanging around and hanging around.
Mhm.
And I was asking you when we lost you a while ago, is I wanted to ask you about Coach Cochran. I know he told me, he said, I'm hard on these young ladies. He said, now I've told parents now when they come in the gym, they're mine. And he
Yeah.
says, we waste very little time. He said, now I don't police them once they go home. Of course I expect them to behave like I want them to, but he said, I'm hard on them. He goes, and we don't waste any time whatsoever. He was a strict disciplined coach, but he got results.
He did, and it's one of the things, even when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, I think it was Sherry, his wife, or Mr. Bolden, Harold, that had asked me to write something, or a few of us to write a couple of things about him, and one of the things that I'd said was just, how much appreciation I have for him. I love him, and I attribute, a lot of, just personally, I had wonderful parents, grandparents, and family around me, teammates that were, I couldn't have handpicked, better coaches, teammates, to have, around me, and in every sport really. And, about Coach Cochran, I just said, he was tough. I mean, he was tough, no doubt. He was an old football coach, before we got him, and he would go coach football, and then we'd come in and coach us, and sometimes I was like, I think we're blurring the lines here,
Yeah.
this is not football, but
Yeah.
but no, it just he coached us to be hard nosed and tough, and that's what I said. Like, that's one of the things that I appreciated the most about him, that he didn't treat us like we had limitations. He pushed those. He made us push the limitations of what, maybe even people at the time uh, would have thought, girls were supposed to do, maybe, I don't know, around here, but I think it opened it up, for the possibilities, and I never went into a game, when I was coached, coached by him, or playing under him, where I thought, I'm not prepared. We're gonna, I'm worried about losing. It was just like, he had coached us into that, that frame of mind. Like, we're gonna prepare. We've got a plan, and I'll have a secondary plan if that one's, that one falls. We're gonna do this.
Yeah, he definitely was, and he told me a time or two too. He, at times he would have liked for you to have been a little more selfish with the basketball. He goes, but she's just not going to do that. And I said, well, it's one of those where she's the ultimate team player. And Randy was talking about this, about, what a great player you were. And I told Randy, I said, there's certain qualities, as many games as I've seen and did and watched, there's certain qualities that players have. And yes, it's part of their upbringing. Your dad, Tommy, was, very fundamental, very pushed you very hard, made you stay humble, and you always were when you were out on the floor. You could tell his influence. But players that are special, like that come along like you, and there's others that I've seen in the past. I remember Carnell Williams, Brent Tinker, even Jamie Vest. There's something about players like that makes everybody around them better. They bring the level of play up. And I said, and that's the quality that I see in a player or individual. When you make somebody else better, because you could do a lot of things on your own, but you make everybody else better. And I think that's the biggest quality I've seen in players like you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying so. And it's funny that you said it, or ironic, I guess, because, my son, I was talking to him the other day, and like you said, he's played JV a good bit. He's in 8th grade, and he's played JV a good bit. He's gotten some varsity minutes, and he's really excited about that. And, the players have been great, like brothers really to him, taking him in. And, sometimes that's hard, for a young guy, or the players to really relate, to a younger kid. And, JJ and Josh Scott and, all those kids have just been, amazing. They're great young men. And I'm so thankful that he has got, players like that around that he can look up to, and that he can, that'll kind of bring him along and do the same thing. And, but I told Cy, I was like, yeah, you did okay tonight, whatever. We were talking about the game, debriefing, like my dad used to do with me. And he does it with him too. He doesn't cut him much slack, but, I was telling him, maybe this, maybe that, we need to tweak, whatever, got to work on. And I said, but, Si, here's the thing, and I send him a message like on game days, good luck, whatever, but, do this, this is the frame of mind. And I said the same thing that you're saying. I say, it's awesome to be a good player, but they're really great players. They make everybody around them better. You go be the best teammate that you can be. You be the best teammate on the floor. That's your job, whatever that means. If it means diving on the floor, if it means, helping somebody up, if it, whatever that means, and making the great pass, or, just saying, hey man, you got it, like encouraging. I said, you be that person. That's what I want to see, and I said, the rest will fall into place.
Just a quick,
Randy, you want to add to that? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, since we're talking about your playing career, I hold you in high esteem. We've discussed that many times. You weren't the most athletic. You weren't the highest jumper. You weren't maybe the best passer on the team. But there was two things I thought marked your career in athletics on the basketball court: ability to shoot and defense. Were those self-taught or self-want driven, or where did you get those two from?
Well, thank you, first of all. I don't know, defensively, don't talk to Coach Cochran about that. He might have a different answer on that one.
But you want it to be, I'll put it that way. I'll make Coach
my teammates might disagree too. I don't know, but I think defensively and really offensively, I remember growing up, just watching Alabama play on TV with my dad, or watching whatever game was on, and and he would teach me, during the game. And we didn't have like DVR and all that kind of stuff like we do now, or we couldn't just pull it up on YouTube, or whatever. But he would say, "Did you see that? Why did you do that? Why did that work? What should he have done? Like it was always teachable moments, with my dad, and he took the time to do that with me, and really just to help me understand, the importance of being a student of the game, because you're right. I wasn't the tallest, I wasn't short, but I wasn't the tallest, and I wasn't the most athletic. But I could understand angles. I could understand the why behind what was going on, because my dad had really taken so much time with me. And then that just kind of was a springboard for Coach Cochran, and he took it to the next level. And, the same thing. Then when I got into volleyball with Miss Brissendine, and she was a great coach and really ahead of her time, around this area for volleyball. And, it was the same thing, and my dad coached me in softball also, until I got on up. But it was always just fundamentals, and you train and you go, and you do it until, you can't do it wrong almost, like, that's, you do it so many times, the repetition, and it's not perfect, but you're aiming for perfect for sure, and he would, one funny story about him, I decided I wanted to play tennis one time. Well, we didn't have tennis at Fife as far as like, a team. So I went down to Sneed and took a 2-week course in the summer with Coach Kitchens, of all people. He's the basketball coach down there at the time, but he did like a little 2-week course in tennis or something. So I was on fire, for tennis. So we had to go get a racket, and my dad, we were going to go to the tennis courts at Fife. They did have a tennis court at that time. And, we're out there, we're about to play, and I'm thinking it's like a Sunday round of tennis. This is not, this is not the state championship, or whatever, but it didn't matter to him, and it didn't matter that, we didn't really have a tennis background. If we were going to get out there, we were going to do it right. We were going to do it to the best of our ability. And, we almost had a fight on the tennis court. My mom was like, I cannot go anywhere with you guys, because we were so competitive, and he was so, we were going to do this. He was adamant about the fact that, I was going to serve it correctly, and it was going to go in so many times before we left. And, so, but that was him, as I was growing up. And, it's very difficult to reach perfection, and I've not really ever done that in my life, but the effort and the attention to detail that go along with that, that's the important thing. And my mom would say the same thing. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. That was us growing up. That was the motto, kind of, I guess, to live by. So, I'm just indebted to them, and I'm in the Lord that just gave me the perfect opportunities, and I had to work, yeah, but He put me in a place where I could do that and succeed.
Phil,
Yeah, I think, Coach, that what your dad stressed, and things that may slack today, and I'm sure you make it a point to stress this, is fundamentals. Gino Oriana, talked about it one time about, in your day you didn't have as much travel ball, AAU ball. It was about working on your game off time, on your own time. And that's where you got better as a player. I can remember when I was young, I used to work at baseball. I used to work at, defense and fielding and all that stuff. I didn't work that much on hitting. So when I played, my strong point was my defense, not my hitting. I didn't work on my hitting enough. And of course, you speaking about tennis, and my dad, I played in junior high. I played on a tennis team, and my dad used to take me out, and he used to drink a little bit, but he would take his cup and he'd put it on the center line, and we hit the ball back and forth. Well, I had to hit the ball to him, no matter how far he run me back and forth. If I ever hit one down the line and got it past him, he would get mad at me because I had to hit it right back to him so that he didn't have to walk very far. And so, yeah, that made it kind of hard because he was so competitive and he would run me ragged, but it made me a better tennis player. I ended up making the tennis team as an 8th grader on a 9th grade team. And of course, I didn't play in high school because when I got to Val Hill, we didn't have tennis. But it's amazing what parents and about, when they stress fundamentals and doing the little things means, it makes you a better player, also makes you a better person.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all those things you just take with you throughout life. And not that we don't mess up or, wish we could have a do-over occasionally, something like that. But I think the effort is there, and the mindset, what you want to do, setting the priorities and setting goals, and, the way that you just conduct yourself, with integrity. I've had so many people that have just poured into me that really helped me to build that, and of course there are times that we're all disappointed with ourselves, or we would have done something a little differently, but overall I'm just so thankful, so blessed, and those are things that you want, as a coach now. Like, I want my kids to take those, players, I want them to take that with them, through college or into life, and be able to, have success in other areas. It's not just about, basketball or volleyball, even though we love those, and I love competing, and, I love to see the kids, reach that high level, or do something they didn't think they could do. That's an amazing moment for a coach. But also it's knowing that they're equipped, they're equipped for success later in life. And there's not going to be something that hits them that's so hard that they won't know, all right, now it's time to dig in. Just like missing that shot, in 10th grade, that team, like you said, all right, now what are we going to do? You got two choices. You're going to let it, are you going to let it, kill you, basically, bring you down? Are you going to, adjust, see what happened? Now we're going to figure out a way to do this better, and that's what you want. You want those kids to come out and really be able to be, the mom that that they can be, and the wife that they can be, and the, whatever profession that they can be, just the person that they can be, and that's really, trophies are great, but that's the best one when I see, kids that I've coached or taught, and I'm like, you're such an amazing person. This just makes my heart shine and run over,
Yeah, because really those trophies, they get dusty. They put away, but the memories last for forever. I played on a state championship team at Valley Head, and
Mhm.
and that means a whole lot. But it's all the stories
Yeah,
that mean so much. Because I've always said the most powerful person in a room is the storyteller. So if you've got a story to tell, you can gain an audience.
absolutely. And I love a good storyteller too. I can sit and listen
Yeah,
for days. Yeah.
You
yeah,
know,
definitely. Yeah.
Coach, ironically, I was talking to a former student of yours just before we
Yes.
got on the air, and we began to talk about you, and being a male student, I didn't know he had played for you, and he hadn't. But Coach Clark at Gadsden State talked about the example when he
Oh,
was a student at Plainview that you set in the classroom that he carries with him. Um, do we overlook coaches sometimes for being a teacher too? Because that's a large part of your job.
it is. It's well, several more hours than coaching, I guess, as far as just being in front of the kids, and that's what I've said it at times too, and I love Coach Clark. Yeah, he's a great guy, and I always, even my kids in class, I would love to just go watch them play, especially before I had kids and was running all over the world with them, but my own kids. But I just love to be invested in their lives, and I love to be one of the other people, that they can count on, that somebody cares about me, you know, and and I love the opportunity that I have to be that person. And, I think that we do sometimes, we forget, that we have a day job, I guess, so to speak. But, I've said many times, even if I didn't coach, you know, I would still teach because I love being with those kids, and it's a different relationship, yes, because you're not with them, fighting usually other people, on the court in a game. It's not a physical contest of some sort, or physical task, um, but those are great moments. I had really, I mean, coming to Fort Payne, I had a different task in front of me. I was at the middle school last year, and I was a sixth grade EL teacher, and I'm not fluent in Spanish. Most people ask that to start with, but I do have respect, for those kids and the situation that they're in. I do have an English degree, and that's what made me, that's what allowed me to have that job. Um, but it was a really a great time of growth for me, and a great time to just love on kids that just needed somewhere safe to be. They were just maybe coming into the country for the first time, or, even if they had been there here a couple of years, they didn't maybe weren't able to communicate as well, that kind of thing. And really just to, I guess the creativity of just finding ways to help them, immerse just in the language and different things like that. And it was just really a great year for me. I had some great people I was working alongside, and, got to really just get into that culture also, and learn new things. Like, I love to learn. I'm one of those nerds or something. I guess that I just love to learn new things, and experience new things, and that was great for me just to see that, um, the reciprocation there of just the love, and the excitement for learning and just new things like that. It was a really nice year for me, over at the middle school. And like I said, they treated us really well, and I had a great year there. And I do think, it's important to know, and remember that the coaches are teachers, and we do have those relationships too. And hopefully you get stories like that one where, maybe you made some kind of an impact, or at least you were a smiling face, on some days that maybe, a kid didn't really have that anywhere else, and it was safe. They felt safe. They felt loved, and it was okay for them to just let their guard down and really just be themselves and learn and, have a good day.
Well,
Great.
I think the biggest thing that I've learned from coaches in my playing day is accountability. I think that's
Yeah.
probably the number one thing I learned from every coach. Well, Heather, I want to ask you about this. You went to Fort Payne, of course. Coach Sparks is there. He's been around a long time, and Coach Coker is also there, and I'm sure you've learned a lot from those two. But we talked to Caleb Henshaw, and he said the biggest thing he learned from Coach Sparks is, Fort Payne is probably more often not going to athlete a lot of teams, especially when you get to that 6A level. And Coach Sparks has kind of changed his game around to where I've got to play this certain style of basketball if we're going to be able to compete come playoff time at 6A level. Well, sometimes that may not be exciting. And I think Coach Coker does the exact same thing, is he takes those moving parts and blends them together and makes a quality basketball team. Because for Fort Payne boys to be successful, they've got to win a lot of 52-47 games, disrupt defensively, because they're not going to out-athlete people. And I think both of those coaches have done a great job to be able to be competitive at the 6A level, because that's tough.
It is tough. I mean, night in and night out, and that's something too. I mean, like you said, I've been at Guntersville. I was at Tuscaloosa, at Paul Bryant for a couple of, for a year. And, and I've seen it. I've played against, larger schools and things like that, also. But, night in and night out, you're going to go up against some pretty good athletes, for sure. So you do, I think, you have to adjust. And I think, that's one thing, even being at Plainview, we got out and played a lot of different people and things like that. And then Coach Coker did too, definitely, that's what one thing, with Cy, I think they're about to go to Mississippi. They've already been to Tennessee and played, in a couple of, maybe 2 or 3 games up there in a tournament. And, you're going to get out, you're going to see a lot, a lot of basketball, a lot of different styles, things like that to kind of get you ready. And to see what you're made of, what is going to be best for us, when it comes down to it, it's area tournament time and, the postseason and all that. So, I think it is, Coach Sparks has done a great job. Coach Coker too. Even, this year it's been, a little bit the same for us in volleyball. We had some really unfortunate injuries, that hurt us down the stretch and continued on into the postseason. And, for Coach Coker, he's had, Josh Scott getting hurt this year, and that ended his season. That was, that was a big loss for them. And, if it is a player that obviously Josh was going to be, kind of the center of things and a great leader on the floor and off the floor, a big brother to my kid. And I couldn't hope for a better one, at school. But so anyway, I think you do, even after that injury, you do, you have to adapt, to what's going to be on the court, who you're going to play and what style is going to, provide you the best, the best showing on the court and the best chance to win, and I think they both do a really good job of that.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you this, Heather, stepping away from being a head coach now that you're, the in the middle school, and of course you took on the volleyball job. Does this give you a lot better opportunity to spend some time watching your kids play? Because a lot of times when you're a head coach, it takes up all your time and you miss so much.
Yeah, I know. That's one of those things that I've battled back and forth, I guess, over the years. It's like, well, I'm coaching everybody else's kid. I'm not sure if I'm coaching mine or not,
Yeah.
or if I'm putting in enough, enough time. And now, fortunately, I have had, my mom and dad, and they've come alongside me, and they've made sure that the kids were at the games and stuff like that. My husband, as they grew up, was there with them a good bit, and having that support around is key. For sure, but it is nice at times to just get to, to get to sit back and watch a little bit and not have to be the one that's, yelling so much, or I have to stop myself sometimes. I'm like, stop, like you're in mom mode right now. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't yell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I understand.
Yeah, I know it's hard sometimes, I'm just like, oh, screen or oh, do this, cut, and I'm like, shh, stop,
Yeah.
So of course, if I don't, then usually my son that we've been talking about a little bit, he'll give me that look, like out of the corner of his eye, like, Mom, it's time to be quiet, kind of one of those, like,
Yeah.
Coach is telling me what to do, and I'm like, yeah, no, but no, they're pretty good about it. They still like to go to the gym with me and hang out. We work on some stuff occasionally, and that's just a really joyous time. That's a sweet time for me, and just to get to crank the radio up a little bit, and get some tunes going, and shoot the ball a little, and just have some good time with them. So yeah, it is really nice. It's really nice to get to step back a little and just take a few minutes just to enjoy them, growing up before they're gone, because they're getting really big now. So
Yeah,
Well,
that's it's amazing how that works. Two-part question here. I want to ask you this: what is your most memorable parent moment? As of course, I want to tell you too that Kinsley Worthy, that
yeah.
plays on the that's my niece. So
Oh, I didn't
uh,
know that.
yeah. Kevin Worthy's my brother-in-law. So
Okay.
yeah, she's my niece. We're going to try to come Friday to see them play Gadsden City. But a two-part question here: what's your most memorable moment as a player? Because I know you won many championships, but was there a standout moment in a basketball game? And what's your most memorable moment as a coach?
Whew, those are hard. Those are tough. Yeah, I might could do a top 10, but we
All
don't have
right.
time
Yeah.
for top 10.
Well, you can
Yeah,
give us a couple. Yeah.
obviously, as a player, of course, winning those championships, those are great moments for sure. You remember those times of, I remember some that were the worst, for sure. That's what I tell people,
Yeah.
and I laugh about it a little. Like, I remember the ones I missed. I remember the shots I
Yeah.
missed for sure, like the one you're talking about. Those are like burned in my brain, for sure. But, I think just being a senior, uh, we were five of us, that were seniors that year. We had really good underclassmen too. And, just finishing it with the win, that was just that was a sweet moment, I also remember in my grandfather, I was exceptionally close to him, my father's father, and he was a basketball coach, and he's actually in the DeKalb County Hall of Fame now, also. So that was really big. That was a source of pride for me, and uh, he had gotten really sick, as I got into high school and stuff like that, and um, he passed away. As I was, I guess, 10th grade, early on in that year, and uh, I remember, winning after that was different almost too, because it was like, it's kind of a little bit was for him, and I because he went to every game with us. He traveled in that old van that we had, going to play AAU, because like you said, we didn't have a lot of that, and if you won in the
Yeah.
state, you had to go like off to, I think we went to Ohio one year, and Amarillo, Texas, one year to play the national tournament, and he was ready to go, load him up, you know, give him some pretzels and a cold water, and he was going to travel wherever we went. So, you know, just having that, and just feeling him kind of be there, I guess, in spirit, and just to say, look, Papa, we did it, that was just always really special to me. And again, it's, I'm kind of a connection person, a relationship person as far as that goes, even with my players and stuff like that. And, that was just something that I held sacred to me, and that was really huge, just as a player, and finishing with my seniors, my buddies that we've been, playing back in elementary school. When girls didn't really get a chance to play a lot, it was more the boys played on the rec teams instead of the girls, and my dad coached us, and that was nice, getting to be on the floor with them, in the end at the end of high school, and really just one of the best pictures is, I'm just wrapped around Jamie Owens used to be, and uh, we're just, it's just utter, just, we're thrilled, excitement and joy, that last time, in Birmingham, as the buzzer went off, and when we won the state championship, and maybe a little relief in a way, I guess, because we were
Yeah.
supposed to win, I guess, at that point. But at the same time, just love for each other. And, hey, we finished the job, all the teaching, all the work, all the pushing, all of the just sacrifice that you make as a player and those kinds of things, or as parents, that's, the culmination of that was a great moment, I think, as a player. And then as a coach, honestly, gosh, that is so hard. Now that we won the county championship for the first time at Plainview, that was just a huge feat, because Plainview girls have never done it, just different things like, the area and, gosh, the games that we had with Pisgah that were down to the wire. One of the second to last year that I was there, seeing kids that the accomplishments that the kids had made, reaching a thousandth point, or getting a college scholarship, or as a coach, it's just I don't even know that I could count them all, because like I told the kids, every day you come in, you got to know your why, you know, and that's the thing, my why or my purpose. If I purpose that day to be the best that I can be for those kids, that's a win for me that day, because I get to come in and I'm allowed to do it one more day. God allowed me another day to come in and be that coach for them, be that person for them. Now it's a little bit different role because I'm assistant varsity basketball coach. I'm a head varsity volleyball coach, which was a huge blessing. And I didn't know that it was even going to come. But I got to go back into a sport that I love so much, and love to watch my child, Hadley growing up playing that too. And I got a chance, at the end of my career, I guess, or close to the end, to come back to that and really get to revisit that. So that was great. But, as a coach, I think every day is my best day.
Yeah. Well, I think Jamie Pruitt may have put it best. When I asked him about this kind of thing, he said the best thing is when you win a state championship or you win a big game, or is walking in that locker room and seeing tears of joy rather than tears of sorrow. He said that's really where it hit him when they won the state championship last year, and he didn't have to console. More often than not, you have to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a tough spot to go in. And nobody envies that coach for sure. You don't want to have to be that one. You want to go in, everybody's jumping around, dancing, and, you get to act crazy and that kind of thing. But I guess in the end, it's important that they know, you've got their back one way or the other. You're going to be there for them, and, you'll be there to hug them and pick them up, dry the tears kind of a thing, or you're going to be there to dance, celebrate, and go nuts with them, one or the other.
Phil, let me get a couple of questions. We got to let Coach go. She knows that I could talk to her for 3 days about what happened in 1994, but I'm old, so that was my prime time.
Me too.
Coach, when somebody talked to me, I mentioned that you were moving from basketball to volleyball and taking the head job. I wasn't shocked because your athletic career wasn't just basketball. You were wrapped around many sports and all sports you loved.
Yes, absolutely.
So moving from basketball to volleyball, is that just like you would do in high school when you'd move from sport to sport?
A little bit, actually. It's a little bit more involved now since I kind of have to coordinate some things. Moving from volleyball into basketball, Coach Sparks, handles a lot of the tasks as far as, the ordering or the coordinating, meals or buses and that. So a little bit of a load off coming into basketball, I guess, from volleyball this time. But yeah, it's very similar as far as, I was so excited, to just get a chance to go back into that sport because, like you said, I loved it. I almost, actually went to play college volleyball instead of basketball because I loved it so much. Of course, it was kind of, I guess, like a given that I was going to go play basketball maybe, but I did think about a couple of smaller schools. They offered, to let me do both, and they almost persuaded me because I really did not want to, hang up the volleyball knee pads quite yet, but it's kind of like the riding a bicycle thing, I guess. Getting back onto it, and I actually officiated volleyball for a year also, so I've been kind of around it, I guess, here and there, and I coached a couple of times, with volleyball too at Plainview and different places, club and stuff like that. So the girls, they helped me out, kind of got me back into the groove. And, the parents were great as far as just, welcoming me into that and allow me to have those kids, every year at the banquet. That's what I say, thank you. Thank you, parents, for allowing me to borrow your children, for a while and trusting them to me, because I don't take it lightly. That's very serious to me. And I want to do the best I can, for those girls, and, make sure that they do feel loved, and, that they know I've got their back.
Coach, the next question is strictly a parent question, and,
Okay.
and it's maybe a parent seeking advice. Um, as as the father of a young athlete, freshman in high school,
Mm-hmm.
who's seeing her first success, when you find out you're so loud that the teammates think it's funny, is that the point where you need to stop talking out loud during the game?
That's the point where you just need to talk some more,
Oh,
Yeah. Be yourself.
they told me so.
Yeah.
But seriously, was there a point watching your kids? I was convinced my daughter, after being drug around to every high school football stadium in the South for the last 30 years,
Yeah.
would never love sports. Well, she embraced girls football, and
Oh,
that her,
awesome.
and that didn't come till the ninth grade. Didn't run track till the eighth grade. Was there ever a point that you thought, well, my kids have been around sports, they're not going to love it like I do? Then you see that light come on, and you went, oh, they get it now.
Yes, yeah. No, 100%. I think that's a worry. I guess it's for dads too. I'm not sure. But I know as a mom, yeah, as a mom, it's like if that's part of your profession, you don't want your kids to see the work side of that so much that it's like, they don't see the kid part, the fun part, or whatever. And so of course, yeah, I mean, I worried about that. Just like I said, I would battle myself, as a mom, trying to do what I need to do, and then as a coach, making sure I was there doing what I need to do, and including my kids as a part of that. And I think that's that whole family atmosphere, that if you can kind of cultivate that, then you get the best of both worlds, and that's really the best. And I think that's what helped my kids. They were able to see, you know i'm a you know I'm a part of something that's bigger than me.
Yeah.
That's something that was really special to them, and how those girls, because of their love for each other, their love for me and respect, for my dad, who was helping me coach at the time, because we all felt like family. Well, my kids were part of the family, and I think that's kind of ultimately what helped them kind of to stay like drawn into that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I had those times where I thought, there's no way they're never going to want to hear another buzzer as long as they live, you know, that this is terrible. They're going to hate it, or whatever. But luckily that didn't happen. So, I'm blessed just to get to see them, on the court, and get to be in mom mode. It's really nice.
The best high school football center in the girls' league just walked through the studio and heard about her and looked at me and went, "Oh, Dad." Uh, Thank you, Coach. Phil, why don't you close us out if you've got anything to follow up with?
Yeah, a couple of questions because I really wanted to ask you both of these. One is I know you got inducted to the DeKalb County Sports Hall of Fame in 2006. And of course, I was at the bank with this last year and was talking to Coach Benefield. He told me, he said, Phil, I never really thought about this that much. He said, until I got here and saw the people I went in with and the people that are on the walls outside. And he said, and you're voted in by your peers. It's actually special. You just really don't understand it until you're actually here to see it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I definitely agree with Coach, and then the ones that are in after you, because it was a while back when I was inducted, and then, I see those people, like Coach Benefit, like all these, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like I kind of want to take my mine and like put it over to the side, somewhere. You just feel very unworthy, at times, or just, humbled by the fact that you are up there, with people that you've looked up to, or, that have just been role models to you, or different things like that. And they've done so much, in their lives and their careers. And, it is really, once you get there, and you're surrounded by all of that, I guess, it's, it can be overwhelming at times, really.
Mhm.
It just takes you back kind of, to think, wow, what a blessed life I've lived. And, I can't thank God enough.
Yeah, that's like what talking Coach Benefield. He's not as mean as he perceives to be. He's kind of
Yeah.
he's a pretty good guy. When you get him off the football field. But I
Unless
want to ask you about this. I know over the years, and me and Randy has gone through this same thing. Faith becomes very important, not only as a parent but as a teacher, as a coach. And I think eventually you start implementing that into your program, into your kids, not, kind of more than a subtle way, maybe by example more than
Hmm.
anything else. What is a quality that the good Lord gave you that you're able to share with your kids?
Well, I definitely think you're right. What you said as far as faith kind of just being woven in, um, and I'm fortunate. Like, sometimes I'll say, I'm a little bit hard headed at times. And I think, God has to kind of thump me in the head at times and go, hey, you remember? Yeah, this is,
Mhm.
make sure that we've got, the priorities straight, or make sure you're thinking this or that or whatever. Or did we not already learn this lesson, Heather? One of those things.
Mhm.
But, I think that, what really changed, I guess, not exactly the style, as far as like, they didn't change my basketball knowledge, but I guess it changed me as a person so much. I was really in my 30s, or about mid 30s. I really started to just be hungry to seek God, and really have His will in every part of my life. And I couldn't get enough. I just wanted to learn. I wanted to get closer and closer. And it's about the time Destiny Loudon and Molly Veal and a bunch of those girls were, in the program. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, you guys thought I was discipling you. That didn't happen. You discipled me, and I think it's flip flop like that. I wanted to be more. I want to be like them. I wanted to be closer to Christ, like they were, because I could see their example. And I think the main thing there, I loved kids and I loved basketball. After this point in my life, it was God's love that was shining through. You know, through I want to be a godly mom. I want to be a godly wife. I want to be a godly coach and a godly teacher. I wanted that to show through. And, you know, it's God's love, or God is the only good thing in me. So if I can show love like God shows love, then I can love the unlovable, and I can love, you know, I can show that every day. And they might not have that, yet. They might not know that, or they might not have it, at home, or have been exposed to it. And I think that's the biggest thing, that changed in me as I got closer to Christ, that, I was able to love better and show that.
I think what you're talking, and that just happened with me. I had a liver transplant, and I think that really brought me into things. He drags you off that fence where he's not carrying you all the time, and makes you get down with him and walk with him and listen and
Yeah.
put you on the right path. And it may not be necessarily what you want to do, but it's going
Yeah.
to be in your best interest at the end.
Absolutely.
Oftentimes I think on this journey, and I've been privileged enough to spend 36 years in a broadcast booth, and Phil has too. You know, God gives us these opportunities, you as a coach, us for what we do, so we can love His most precious creation, those kids. And we're here to bring attention to those kids, and they deserve it. You're there to show them the way of life. So we get blessed by what we do because we get to see it in them too. And it's an awesome people thank me for what I do, and I feel like I should run to the kid. Thank you for letting me be. I've got to play high school football for 36 years.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I just want to thank the kids sometimes, not the other way. So that's an awesome message.
I think that that's exactly right. I mean, I think that's, again, at the banquet or at the end of the year, or even just sometimes I just send out a text randomly and I think, they're going to think I'm nuts probably, but I'm just going to share this, just thanking them, thank you
Yeah.
for letting me be a part of your life journey, your life's journey somehow, it swept me into it. God made this time for this. And, I just feel blessed. When I stop feeling that way, I need to quit. I don't see that I would ever stop feeling that way. I may need to quit anyway at some point, um, but I think it's when you feel like you're doing what you're supposed to do, what maybe you're called to do. Um, I think that's the way it feels, every day.
Amen. I'm a pretty good announcer, but evidently I'm a bad sports parent. So I'm working on Phil.
Well, maybe one doesn't make a good the other. I'm not sure.
I
It's like a
told them
coach.
I'd broadcast their games, and then I realized about game 2 that it was impossible for me to broadcast a game my daughter was playing in. So I just was dad, uh, and that's enough for me. Phil, you got anything to close us out?
I just want to thank Heather for coming on with us. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to be able to talk with you a little bit. Of course, we've got Coach Coker is going to be coming on Monday, and I think I've got Coach Sparks is going to lined up, going to be on. Try to get him on before the end of the year.
Yeah.
But it's great to have you coaches on. And the what we enjoy about this and what I've learned, I think that's what kind of sort of makes it a calling to do this podcast, because I never thought I'd do it. I never thought I would. But, I think it gives a coach, a player, because we have athletes on too, it gives people a chance to get to know a side of somebody they probably didn't know. And that's always good, I think, because you're less apt to criticize if you know somebody.
That's right. Yeah. Well, you get to see like they're a person too. Kind of one of this. It's not somebody who just has a whistle or whatever's shouting out the plays. You get to know the person, and that's again, it's about relationships. And I appreciate you guys. This is an amazing thing that you guys do, and to have me on, he said we just ran into each other at the store, and I was like, well, yeah, come on. Like I love talking to you guys, but I always feel, just humbled and a little bit unworthy, but I love getting on here and talking to you guys, and I wish you the best, and definitely good luck with the transplant and everything that you've been through, and God's got an amazing way of using all those things in life, and allowing us to help other people through those.
Definitely so.
That thing, you think this is your last appearance, but we'll see you back this time next year.
All right, that sounds good.
So just go ahead and plan it.
All right.
You're one of our favorite guests, and we love having you. And you are right. All the I've been able to learn through my friend there that sometimes adversity is what you need to get closer to the God. So that's what it's all about, and that's what we try to live to. And we always close every show with, we love you, pray, be safe, do those things. And that's what this podcast is about. So thank you for us, and I hope you enjoyed the time with us. Be safe. God's will. Good night.
Good night.
Hey,
Thank you.
I'll probably see you Friday.